On Christmas Day, I arrived at my daughter's house without warning and saw my granddaughter shivering outside in -15-degree weather, wearing only a t-shirt and shorts. Inside, the whole family was sitting at the holiday table, enjoying turkey and laughing in the warmth. Filled with rage, I wrapped her in my coat, kicked open the door, and spoke 6 words that made their faces turn white with fear. But that was only the beginning of the fight that changed our lives forever. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments where you are watching from. My phone buzzed against the steering wheel. A text from my friend Mary at the hospital. Heard you're worried about little Lily. Trust your gut, Eleanor. You always could spot trouble before anyone else. I stared at those words while my old Honda sat running in my driveway. Mary was right. Back when I worked as a nurse, I could tell when something was wrong with a child just by looking at them. The way they held their shoulders. The way they wouldn't meet your eyes. The way they got real quiet when adults talked. Lily had gotten quiet. Real quiet. The dashboard clock showed 1:15 p.m. time to go. I shifted into drive and pulled out onto Pine Street. Snow had been falling since morning. Big thick flakes that made everything look pretty but turned the roads slippery. The radio played Christmas songs as I drove through town toward the fancy neighborhood where Rebecca lived. That old country station, same one Richard and I used to listen to when we drove to visit the kids. Back when Rebecca was married to Daniel. Back when Lily used to run to the door yelling, "Grandma, Grandma," every time we came over. Now Rebecca was married to Charles Carter. Rich Charles Carter with his big house and bigger opinions about how children should behave. I turned onto Highway 23, heading toward Millfield's west side where all the expensive houses sat behind perfect lawns and tall fences. My gut felt twisted up like a knot. The same feeling I used to get at the hospital when parents brought in kids with bruises they couldn't explain properly. 3 months ago, I saw Charles grab Lily's arm at the church picnic. Not gentle. Not like you'd guide a child. Hard. Like you'd grab something you owned. Lily didn't cry out. She just went stiff and looked at the ground. That's when I knew. Kids who get grabbed a lot learn not to cry out. They learn to go stiff and quiet. They learn that making noise makes things worse. I called Rebecca that night. "How's Lily doing in school?" "Fine, Mom. She's just adjusting to having Charles as a stepdad. It takes time." But when I asked to talk to Lily, Rebecca said she was already asleep. At 7 o'clock at night. On a Saturday. 2 weeks later, I tried again. This time Rebecca said Lily was doing homework. Last week, I called 3 times. Each time, Lily was busy or not feeling well or playing with Charles' nephews. Always an excuse. Always Rebecca making excuses. I knew that tone. I'd heard it from other mothers when their new boyfriends or husbands didn't like the kids from before. The tone that said, "Please don't ask questions because I don't want to face the answers." My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter as I drove past the town Christmas tree in the square. Families walked by holding hands, kids carrying new toys, everyone bundled up in warm coats and hats. Everyone except Lily, probably. The radio played Silent Night while I turned onto Maple Street. Big houses lined both sides like something out of a magazine. Rebecca's house sat at the end, white columns, perfect lawn, 3-car garage. Charles made sure everyone knew he could afford the best. But the best house in town meant nothing if the people inside had cold hearts. I parked across the street and turned off the engine. Through the big front window, I could see them all gathered around their fancy dining room table. Charles at the head, carving turkey like he was king of the castle. Rebecca passing dishes with that nervous smile she'd been wearing since she married him. Charles's parents raising their wine glasses. His sister and her kids laughing at something. A perfect Christmas dinner for a perfect family. Except someone was missing. I looked closer at the warm, glowing scene inside. Counted the people around the table. Charles, Rebecca, Walter, Irene, Elaine, her 2 boys. No Lily. That's when I saw her. A small figure on the front porch steps, hunched over like she was trying to disappear. Pink t-shirt. Blue shorts. No coat. No hat. Bare arms and legs in weather cold enough to kill. My granddaughter. Locked out in the snow while everyone else enjoyed Christmas dinner inside. I was out of that car and running across the street before I even realized I'd moved. Snow crunched under my boots. My heart pounded in my chest. "Lily." I called out. She looked up with tears frozen on her face. Her lips were blue. Her whole body shook. "Grandma Eleanor." Her voice was tiny and scared. "I can't. I'm not allowed." I dropped to my knees and wrapped my winter coat around her little body. She felt like ice. How long have you been out here, baby? Since breakfast. Charles said I was being disrespectful when I asked for seconds on the pancakes. He said disrespectful children don't get to enjoy family time. The rage that filled me up was like nothing I'd ever felt. Not when Richard died. Not when the doctors said there was nothing more they could do. This was different. This was the fury of a grandmother watching someone hurt her grandchild. I stood up, Lily wrapped tight in my arms and my coat. I walked up those porch steps. I tried the front door handle. Locked, just like I knew it would be. So I did something I'd never done in 75 years of life. I lifted my right foot and kicked that door as hard as I could. The lock broke. The door flew open and banged against the wall. Every face at that dining room table turned toward me. Wine glasses stopped halfway to mouths. Forks hung in the air. Even the children went quiet. Charles started to stand up, his face red with anger. Eleanor, what the hell do you think you're? I looked him right in the eye and spoke 6 words that would change everything. She's not yours to hurt. The dining room went dead quiet. You could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. You could hear someone's fork hit their plate. Charles's face went from red to white to red again. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. Now wait just a minute, he started, but I wasn't done talking. This little girl has been sitting outside in freezing weather while you all ate turkey and laughed. I held Lily closer. She buried her face in my shoulder. Her real father would never have allowed this. Never. That's when Rebecca finally found her voice. She stood up from the table, her fancy red dress wrinkled from sitting too long. Mom, you don't understand. Lily was being difficult this morning. Charles was just trying to teach her some discipline. Discipline. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Rebecca Marie, you sat in this warm house eating Christmas dinner while your daughter nearly froze to death outside. What would Daniel think? At the mention of Daniel's name, Rebecca's face crumpled. Lily's real daddy. The man who used to carry her on his shoulders and read her bedtime stories every single night. Charles slammed his hand on the table. The wine glasses jumped. Don't you dare bring up that man in my house. This is my family now. My rules. Your family. I laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. This child is not your blood. She's mine. She's Daniel's. And she sure as hell isn't yours to torture. Walter Carter, Charles's father, finally spoke up. He was a big man with gray hair and cold eyes. Now see here, Mrs. Whitmore. A man has the right to discipline children in his own home however he sees fit. Discipline. I turned to face him. Locking a 10-year-old outside in winter weather isn't discipline. It's abuse. Irene Carter, Charles's mother, made a little gasping sound. She was one of those women who pretended problems didn't exist if you just didn't talk about them. Oh, surely it wasn't that bad, she said in her high, fake voice. Children exaggerate sometimes. I felt Lily shaking against me. Not from cold this time. From fear. Tell them, Lily, I said gently. Tell them how long you were outside. Lily's voice came out tiny and scared. Since after breakfast. Charles said I couldn't come in until I learned not to be greedy. Greedy? I looked at Charles. What did she do that was so greedy? Charles's jaw was tight. His hands were fists. She asked for seconds on pancakes. After I already told her she was getting too chunky. Girls need to learn portion control early. I stared at him. This man thought a growing child asking for more food was greed. This man thought leaving her outside in deadly weather was a reasonable punishment. She's 10 years old, I said slowly. She's a growing child. And she's thin as a rail. She eats plenty, Charles shot back. More than enough. That's when Elaine, Charles's sister, surprised everyone. She had been quiet this whole time, just watching with her 2 boys sitting next to her. Charles, she said carefully, maybe Mom's right. Maybe Lily should come inside now. It's Christmas, after all. Charles whirled around to face his sister. Don't you start too, Elaine. I'm trying to raise that child properly. Someone has to, since her mother won't. Rebecca made a little wounded sound, like a hurt animal. I'd heard enough. I turned toward the door, still carrying Lily. Where do you think you're going? Charles demanded. I'm taking my granddaughter home with me, where someone will feed her properly and keep her warm. Like hell you are. Charles stepped toward us. You can't just walk into my house and steal my stepdaughter. Watch me. But as I reached the broken doorway, Charles grabbed my arm. Hard. The same way I'd seen him grab Lily at the church picnic. Let go of me, I said quietly. You're not taking her anywhere. I'm calling the police. That's when something inside me snapped completely. I'd been a nurse for 40 years. I'd seen what happened to children when adults stayed quiet. I'd seen the broken bones and the scared eyes and the lies that everyone pretended to believe. Not this time. Not my granddaughter. I turned around and looked Charles Carter right in his cold, mean eyes. "You call the police," I said. "You call them right now. And when they get here, we'll see who they believe. The grandmother trying to save a freezing child, or the man who locked her outside on Christmas Day." Charles's grip on my arm got tighter. I could feel his fingers digging in, probably leaving marks. Just like the marks I'd seen on Lily. "You're making a big mistake, old woman." The only mistake I made was waiting this long. I pulled free from his grasp and headed for the stairs. "Come on, Lily. Let's get your things. You're not going anywhere," Charles shouted behind us. But I was already climbing the steps, Lily still wrapped in my coat. Her little hand held tight to mine as we walked down the hallway toward her bedroom. When I opened her door, my heart broke all over again. The room was bare. Not like a child's room at all. The walls were white and empty. No posters, no drawings, no pictures of friends. Just a small bed with plain white sheets, a tiny dresser, and nothing else. This wasn't a bedroom. This was a cell. "Where are all your toys, sweetheart?" I asked. Lily looked at the floor. "Charles says toys make kids lazy. He put them all in the garage." "What about your books? You used to love reading." "He says I read too much. That I should help with chores instead." I walked to the small dresser and started pulling out clothes. T-shirts that were too small. Jeans with holes in the knees. Everything looked old and worn out. "Lily, where are the new clothes your mama bought you for school?" Charles said they were too expensive to wear every day. He put them in his closet so I wouldn't ruin them. My hands shook as I stuffed clothes into an old grocery bag I found in the closet. This wasn't just neglect. This was systematic cruelty. Charles was making sure Lily knew she didn't belong, didn't matter, wasn't worth nice things. "Grandma," Lily whispered, "can I take Daddy's picture?" She pointed to the dresser. There, face down in the back corner, was a small framed photo. I picked it up and saw Daniel holding baby Lily at the hospital. His face was so happy, so proud, so full of love. "Of course you can take it, baby. Your daddy would want you to have it." Footsteps pounded up the stairs. Charles appeared in the doorway, his face twisted with rage. "What do you think you're doing in here?" "I'm helping my granddaughter pack her things. She's not going anywhere. This is her home." "This isn't a home," I said, looking around the bare room. "This is a prison." Charles stepped into the room. Behind him, I could see Rebecca hovering in the hallway. She looked scared, like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. "Rebecca," I called to her. "Look at this room. Really look at it. Is this how Daniel would want his daughter living?" Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. She took a step forward, then stopped when Charles turned his cold stare on her. "Rebecca knows better than to interfere with my parenting," Charles said. "Parenting?" I laughed, but it wasn't funny. "You're not her parent. You're not even trying to be. You're just a man who resents a child for existing. That child has been nothing but trouble since the day I married her mother. Whining, crying, always wanting attention. Always making Rebecca choose between us. She's a little girl who lost her father. Well, she needs to get over it. I'm her father now, and she needs to learn to respect that." I stood up and faced him, holding Lily's bag in one hand and Daniel's picture in the other. "You will never be her father. Daniel Thompson was her father. A man who loved her more than his own life. A man who would have protected her from people like you." Charles's face went purple with rage. "Get out of my house. Both of you. Get out right now." "Gladly." I took Lily's hand and started toward the door. Charles didn't move out of the way. For a moment, we stood face to face in the doorway. "This isn't over," he said quietly. "You're right. It's not." We pushed past him and headed downstairs. The whole family was standing in the living room now, watching us like we were putting on a show. Walter Carter stepped forward. "Mrs. Whitmore, you're being very unreasonable. Charles is a good man trying to raise a difficult child." "Difficult?" I stopped and stared at him. "That little girl hasn't said a word above a whisper since we've been here. She's scared to death of all of you." "Children need firm guidance," Irene added in her prissy voice. "They need to learn consequences. The only consequence that child has learned is that the people who are supposed to love her will hurt her instead." I opened the front door and felt the cold air rush in. Lily pressed closer to me. Wait, Rebecca finally spoke up. Her voice was shaky. Mom, please. Don't take her. Charles will be furious. I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. When had she become so thin? So nervous? When had she started looking over her shoulder before she spoke? Rebecca, what happened to you? You used to be strong. You used to protect people. I am protecting us, she whispered. Charles takes care of us. He pays for everything. Without him, Lily and I would have nothing. You'd have each other. You'd have your dignity. You'd have your daughter's respect. Charles came down the stairs, his phone in his hand. I'm calling the police now. You're kidnapping my stepdaughter. Call them, I said. I'll wait right here. And that's exactly what I did. I sat down on the front porch with Lily wrapped in my coat, holding her close while Charles made his phone call inside. Lily looked up at me with Daniel's eyes. Grandma, are you going to get in trouble? Maybe, sweetheart. But some things are worth getting in trouble for. Am I worth it? My heart nearly broke in half. Oh, baby girl. You are worth everything. We sat there for maybe 10 minutes, watching the snow fall. Lily had stopped shivering now that she was bundled up in my coat, but I could feel her little body still tense with fear. Inside the house, I could hear voices. Charles talking loud and angry on the phone. Rebecca crying. The Carter grandparents making excuses and trying to calm everyone down. Then I heard sirens in the distance. Is that for us? Lily asked in a small voice. Yes, sweetheart. But don't be scared. We're going to tell the truth, and the truth is going to protect us. 2 police cars pulled up in front of the house, their red and blue lights flashing against the white snow. 4 officers got out. 2 older ones who looked like they'd been doing this job for a long time, and 2 younger ones who still looked eager to help people. The older officer, a man with gray hair and kind eyes, walked up to us first. I'm Officer Daniels. We got a call about a possible kidnapping situation. Yes, sir. I'm Eleanor Whitmore, and this is my granddaughter, Lily Thompson. Her stepfather called because I removed her from a dangerous situation. Officer Daniels looked at Lily, who was still wrapped in my coat. Then he looked at me. Can you tell me what happened here today? Before I could answer, Charles came bursting out of the house with Rebecca right behind him. Officers, thank God you're here. Charles put on his smoothest voice, the one he probably used to sell insurance. This woman broke into my home and is trying to kidnap my stepdaughter. The younger officer, whose name tag said Ramirez, pulled out a notebook. Sir, let's slow down and get everyone's story. Mrs. Whitmore, would you like to go first? I nodded and kept my voice calm and clear. I came to visit my family for Christmas. When I arrived, I found my 10-year-old granddaughter sitting outside in 15 below weather, wearing only a t-shirt and shorts. She told me she'd been locked out since breakfast time as punishment. The family was inside eating Christmas dinner. Officer Daniels frowned. How long was she outside, little one? Lily looked up at him with scared eyes. Since about 8 o'clock this morning. Charles said I couldn't come in until I learned my lesson about being greedy. Greedy? Officer Ramirez asked. What did you do? I asked for seconds on pancakes, Lily whispered. The 2 officers looked at each other. I could see something change in their expressions. And what lesson were you supposed to learn? Officer Daniels asked gently. That I eat too much. That I'm getting chunky. That girls need to learn portion control. Charles stepped forward quickly. Officers, you have to understand. Children today have no discipline. No respect. I'm trying to teach her proper behavior. By locking a child outside in deadly weather. Officer Ramirez's voice had gotten harder. She wasn't going to die. It was just a few hours. Sir, it's currently 15 degrees below zero. A child could get frostbite or hypothermia in much less time than that. Rebecca finally found her voice. Officers, please understand. Charles is a good man. He works hard to provide for us. He's just trying to help Lily learn. Learn what? Officer Daniels asked. Rebecca's mouth opened and closed. She couldn't find an answer. I spoke up. Officers, would you like to see where this child lives? Would you like to see her bedroom? Charles started to object, but Officer Ramirez held up his hand. Yes, we'd like to see that. We all went inside. I led them upstairs to Lily's room and opened the door. Both officers went quiet when they saw the bare white walls, the tiny bed, the empty space where a child's belongings should be. Where are her toys? Officer Daniels asked. Charles put them in the garage, I said. He says toys make children lazy. Her books. Also taken away. He says she reads too much. Officer Ramirez opened the dresser drawers. These clothes look pretty worn out. Where are her school clothes? Her nice things. Charles shifted uncomfortably. I keep her good clothes in my closet so she doesn't ruin them. You keep a 10-year-old's clothes locked away from her. She's careless. She doesn't appreciate nice things. The officers looked at each other again. Then Officer Daniels knelt down to Lily's level. Sweetie, has anyone ever hurt you? Hit you or grabbed you hard? Lily looked at Charles, then at her mother, then back at the officer. Sometimes Charles grabs my arm when I'm not listening fast enough. Sometimes he shakes me when I cry too much. And being locked outside, has that happened before? Lily nodded. Lots of times. Sometimes for hours. Once, last month, I had to sleep in the garage because I spilled juice on the carpet. Rebecca gasped. Lily, you said you wanted to camp outside that night. I was scared to tell you the truth, Mommy. Charles said if I told, he'd send me away forever. That's when everything changed. Officer Daniels stood up and his face was hard as stone. Mr. Carter, I need you to step outside with me. Now. This is ridiculous. Charles' smooth mask was slipping. That child is lying. She's manipulative. She's been trying to turn Rebecca against me since the day we got married. Sir, step outside. Now. As Charles was led outside, I heard him start to lose control completely. You don't understand, he was shouting. That kid has been nothing but trouble. Always crying about her dead father. Always making Rebecca choose. I've been trying to fix her, to make her normal. Officer Ramirez stayed with us inside. He looked at Rebecca with sad, tired eyes. How long has this been going on? Rebecca sank down onto Lily's tiny bed and put her face in her hands. I don't know. I didn't want to see it. Charles takes care of us. He pays for everything. I was so scared of being alone again after Daniel died. Mom, Lily said quietly, I tried to tell you. Remember when I said I was having bad dreams? Remember when I started wetting the bed again? Rebecca looked up with tears streaming down her face. Oh God. Oh, Lily, I'm so sorry. I thought you were just having trouble adjusting. I thought if I gave Charles time, he'd learn to love you like Daniel did. Some people can't learn to love, Rebecca, I said gently. Some people only know how to hurt. Outside, we could hear Charles' voice getting louder and angrier. Through the window, I saw him waving his hands, pointing at the house, his face red with rage. Officer Ramirez was writing everything down in his notebook. He looked at Lily with kind eyes. Sweetheart, is there anything else you want to tell us? Anything that scared you or hurt you? Lily looked at her mother, then at me, then back at the officer. He told me my daddy didn't really love me. He said if daddy really loved me, he wouldn't have died and left me. He said that's why I had to try harder to make people want to keep me. Rebecca made a sound like someone had punched her in the stomach. Lily, no. Your father loved you more than anything in the world. The accident wasn't his fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. Charles said it was Daddy's fault for driving too fast. He said Daddy was selfish for leaving us with nothing. I felt my anger rise up again, hot and fierce. Charles said that to you. Lots of times. He said I should forget about Daddy and be grateful that he was willing to take care of a kid that wasn't even his. Officer Ramirez stopped writing and looked up. I need to ask you something important. Did you know Mr. Carter was saying these things to your daughter? Rebecca was crying so hard she could barely speak. No. I swear I didn't know. He was always sweet to her when I was around. He bought her things. He took us on trips. I thought. She wiped her eyes. I thought I was giving her a father figure. I thought I was doing the right thing. Just then, Officer Daniels came back inside. His face was grim. I'm going to need to speak with you privately. Mrs. Whitmore, would you mind staying with Lily for a few minutes? They went downstairs, leaving me and Lily alone in her bare little room. Grandma, she said quietly, am I going to have to live with Charles forever? No, baby. I promise you that's not going to happen. But what if Mommy chooses him again? What if she decides she needs him more than she needs me? I knelt down and took her small hands in mine. Lily Thompson, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Your mother loves you. She made some bad choices because she was scared and lonely, but she loves you. And even if everything else goes wrong, you will always have me. Always. Promise. I promise. Your grandma Eleanor has never broken a promise to you, has she? She shook her head. And I'm not going to start now. We could hear voices downstairs. Serious, adult voices having serious, adult conversations. Then we heard the front door open and close several times. Finally, Rebecca came back upstairs. Her eyes were red from crying, but her face looked different somehow. Stronger. Lily, baby, come here. Lily ran to her mother, and Rebecca wrapped her up in the biggest hug. I'm so sorry, Rebecca whispered into Lily's hair. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I'm sorry I let someone hurt you. Is Charles going to jail? Rebecca looked at me over Lily's head. Yes, sweetheart. He's being arrested for child abuse and endangerment. He won't be able to hurt you anymore. Through the window, we watched as Charles was put into the back of a police car, his hands cuffed behind his back. He was still yelling, still angry, still blaming everyone but himself. Walter and Irene Carter stood on the front lawn, looking shocked and embarrassed. Elaine was loading her boys into her car, probably wanting to get them away from the chaos. What happens now? I asked Rebecca. The officers said we can't stay in this house. Charles owns it, and with him in jail. She took a shaky breath. We don't have anywhere to go. Yes, you do. Both Rebecca and Lily looked at me. You're coming home with me. Both of you. My house isn't fancy like this one, but it's warm and safe and full of love. Mom, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm telling. That little girl needs her family around her, and you need to remember who you used to be before Charles made you afraid of your own shadow. Rebecca started crying again, but this time they were different tears. Relief tears. Grateful tears. Can we really come home with you, Grandma? Lily asked. Honey, it's not just coming home with me. It's coming home, period. Where people will love you just for being you. Where you can eat seconds if you're hungry. Where you can read all the books you want and play with toys and be a normal, happy little girl. Officer Ramirez appeared in the doorway. Ladies, we're all finished here. Mrs. Carter, you'll need to come to the station tomorrow to give a formal statement, but for tonight, you're free to go wherever you feel safe. We're going to my mother's house, Rebecca said, and her voice was stronger than it had been all day. Good choice. As we packed up the few things Lily owned, I thought about Daniel. About how much he had loved his little girl. About how he would have fought like a lion to protect her. I kept my promise, Daniel, I whispered to myself. I kept her safe. We loaded our few bags into my Honda. Rebecca sat in the front seat, Lily in the back, still wrapped in my coat. As we drove away from that big white house with its perfect lawn and cold heart, I saw Lily look back one time. I'm not sad to leave, she said. Is that okay? That's more than okay, sweetheart. That's healthy. Grandma. Yes, baby. Thank you for kicking down the door. I smiled in the rearview mirror. Thank you for being worth saving. And as we drove through the snowy streets toward home, I could almost hear Richard's voice on the wind. Well done, Ellie. Well done. The fight was over. The real healing could begin.